this team, it's kind of perplexing me because offensively, no one's really doing anything that special. They're staying consistent. Evan Mobley, like 2 blocks, a steal a game. He's shooting the three ball well enough that Allen can be on the floor for some spacing and giving Allen some nice efficiency there in the paint. And it just seems like a team that's flowing and clicking, maybe with low expectations. They just going out and having fun.
It's incredible, quite frankly, what Evan Mobley has done for this team. And if anyone watched the Sacramento Cleveland game on the weekend or caught snippets of it, it just looked like a nightmare, quite frankly, for the Kings. Anytime they penetrated the paint, it was an altered shot or a block shot from Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Like, it's impossible to attack the rim when those two guys are on the floor. And because of Mobley's perimeter skills and the way that he flows in any type of offense, it seems right now, you can play those two guys together. It's truly remarkable what he's done. Like, the big stat that I wanted to bring up was he has a net rating of +10 when on the court versus off the court. So the Cavaliers are 10 points better when he's on the court versus off per 100 possessions. That in itself is a like pretty powerful statement to show the impact that he has had this season. And then as well, like I mentioned early on, Ricky Rubio, obviously Colin Sexton's a great player, but Ricky Rubio almost is like that dollar store version of Chris Paul, where he can raise the floor of your team. He's a guy that gets you in your offensive sets, right? A veteran point guard to really bring up the floor and the understanding IQ of the rest of these young players, and their potential is really starting to show through.
Yeah, they weather a really tough match or set of matchups and manage to stay above 500. You've got to think the confidence is going to be growing for this team. Come playoff time, it's hard to expect much, but it's starting to be hard to dismiss them and say they're not for real. Almost over a third of the way into the season. Definitely something I'm going to be fascinated to check in on around the halfway mark. Um, Last thing in the East for me, I don't have much on this, but the Detroit Pistons on a league worst 12-game losing streak, putting them in dead last and probably cementing it. I guess I don't think there was any real expectation for Cade Cunningham to single-handedly turn this team around. Like, he was playing on an average Oklahoma team and really raising the floor in college, but the NBA, just a different level, a different breed. Uh, a couple more years of drafting and maybe this team will be something, but right now, just nowhere near.
Yeah, the two things that I really gathered from watching a little bit of his play, I watched Detroit versus Oklahoma City the other night. He looks solid, but what I heard, the Low Post podcast, and a couple things I gathered from there is that he's just not plus explosive, and he's not necessarily as big as we had him projected coming out of college. Like, some people like to have him 6'7", 6'8". He's 6'6", which is still huge for a point guard, but not that necessarily plus size. And he's never going to just blow by guys. He's a little bit more reliant on shiftier or using his size over smaller defenders. And that's what he did so well in college with the high-low actions with the big men and then posting up guards. He was really effective at that. You don't see a lot of that in the NBA. And so while he's a solid shooter, that threat gets taken away because guys aren't afraid to really press up on him when he has the ball and attack his handle, because they're not threatened by him to be able to blow by them. And so when you're not blowing by guys, it means when you decide to kick the ball out to shooters, they're going to be slightly more contested. It's probably a little bit of chicken and the egg, but Detroit is one of the worst shooting teams in the league. Partially that's because they don't generate enough open looks, and partially that's just they don't have the same quality of shooters on the team. And so that has hurt a bit of Cade's assist totals. But overall, like, for the quality of the team he's on, I think he's been really great so far this season
Mhm.
from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's 3 years too early to
Mhm.
really comment on how he lived up to his potential.
Yeah.
And it there's just no
Although
miracle.
based on the team we just talked about, early takeaway is that Evan Mobley probably should have gone number one.
Yeah, you think Mobley has the same season he's having with the Cavs on the Pistons? Like, does he have a literal Andre Drummond season?
I I would say yes, because of what he does to connect people on the defensive floor. And I think he'd actually get a little bit more opportunity to do things offensively. A lot of his offensive touches are being taken by Garland, by Sexton earlier in the season. Um, and so I would say yes. I think he would do what he was doing on the Cavs. He would do that with the Pistons as well.
Well, maybe Mobley, maybe Cunningham, but what about Barnes?
I love Scottie Barnes, man. This was another stat that I took from a Ringer NBA show podcast on young players. Scottie Barnes has an equal amount of time, as of this weekend, has an equal amount of time guarding centers as he does point guards. So he guards point guards on 20% of his possessions and guards centers on around 21% of his possessions. Just shows the versatility there as a defender. And he's only going to get better as the season goes along, and he learns how guys, what their tendencies are. He learns about the speed of the game. He learns how to read NBA offenses. Really, really great foundation for him. He's already got 3 blocks tonight against Sacramento, and you can't ask for anything more. He's been outstanding, and the 3-point shot has really come around. He started pretty horrendously from 3. He just hadn't been taking a lot, but he's shooting with a ton of confidence right now. And you can't ask for anything more out of a rookie who's playing on a team that's not necessarily looking to contend for a title, but is just looking to be competitive night in and night out. And he fits right into their culture seamlessly. Like, it's really great to watch him play, and then also him on the sideline and off the court on social media. It's just a great time.
Scottie.